Tonight, we are holding our 7th marking ceremony.
Darcy is feeling dizzy tonight.
Let's suppress our bond, Emma. We can have our marking ceremony some other day.
Those were the exact words he spit when I called him on the day that was supposed to be our marking ceremony. It was the 7th time he asked me to suppress the sacred bond between us for his childhood sweetheart. The first time he suppressed it was because Darcy's pack was under attack, and he wanted to be by her side.
Darcy is fighting for her survival, and you want me to be pulled by our fated bond. Don't make me believe you are this selfish, Emma.
The 3rd time he suppressed it, he said,
Darcy is having a fever. I can't leave her alone.
By the 6th time, he didn't bother explaining why. He had the witch suppress our bond in the most brutal way possible. Because he was in a hurry to go meet Darcy. So when the 7th time, he refused to mark me and came home to suppress our bond to be with Darcy, I had already packed my clothes. It will be the last time he suppresses our bond, because the next time, there will be no bond between us to suppress. Call Bonnie. I'm ready, I said as soon as Edward walked into our room. Pushing my hair back, I exposed the spot on my neck where a bond was delicate. He had his pack's witch, Bonnie, suppress our bond so many times that it was barely visible now. I could see the guilt and remorse flickered through his eyes as he walked closer. Holding my hands gently, he said,
It will be the last time, Emma. I promise. Once Darcy was stable and didn't need me around her, you won't have to go through this searing pain.
I had believed him 7 times. But now, I was done chasing the shadow I would never be able to catch up. Every time he went to take care of Darcy, he would have Bonnie suppress our bond. I wouldn't get up from bed for weeks. While I would be moaning in pain and cold, he would stay by Darcy's side, comforting her for what? A fever or a scratch she probably caused while cutting her fangs. It's okay, I replied, my voice indifferent. You can call Bolly now, in case you get late because of me and blame me for it. The last time he suppressed our bond, I completely lost my strength and fainted. He stayed with me for half an hour before he finally left. The next day, he blamed me for holding him and refused to come back for the next 3 months. His face darkened.
What's that supposed to mean? The last time it's because you didn't eat well.
Didn't eat well, I sneered. Do you think that's why I fainted? He bit his lips. He quickly regretted saying that, while I continued.
You are an alpha, Edward! You don't understand what it feels to suppress the bond because you don't have to go through the pain. It's I who suffers for Darcy!
Having said that, I walked out of the room. I feel disgusted even looking at the alpha I blindly followed all these years. But he chased after me.
If you want, I can stay by your side tonight. I'll leave only when you are stable.
No need. I refused. I can handle it like I always did. One last time. I can bear it, I said in my mind. Half an hour later, Bonnie stood before my eyes, her silver hair braided tight against her scalp, her eyes filled with a weary pity that I hated more than Edward's guilt. She carried her satchel of herbs and stones, the tools of my torture.
Emma, you're already weak. Your lunar cycle is peaking. If we suppress it now...
Do it, I interrupted. He has a promise to keep, doesn't he? Darcy is waiting. Edward winced at the venom in my tone.
Bonnie, just make it quick. I'll stay with her until the initial shock passes.
I told you, I don't want you here, I said, looking Edward dead in the eye. Go to her. Just then his phone rang. Darcy's name flashed on the screen. He picked it up.
What? That's serious? I'm coming right now.
He was still on the call when he had already crossed the room, completely forgetting his initial promise to me. Then, as if remembered something, he turned back and said,
The next full moon. It will be our marking ceremony.
Next full moon. What a pity.
Edward. That's the day I have chosen to completely leave you.
The silence after the door slammed shut was heavier than the suppression spell itself. Bonnie didn't say a word. The pity in her eyes had curdled into a somber respect. She performed the ritual with a practiced, somber efficiency, dellowing the golden thread that connected my soul to Edward's. I didn't scream. I didn't even moan. I simply watched the ceiling, counting the seconds, until I was finally, blissfully, numb.
Don't you regret severing your bond with Edward? He is, after all, an alpha, and he has never refused to mark you.
Never marked me as well? The silence was deafening before she sighed.
Since he is an alpha, he would not realize the bond between you two is already broken. Not until the next full moon. I'll keep my mouth shut by then. But I hope you have figured out what you are going to do after that. You are his fated mate. Edward would not like to lose the power he gets by bonding with his fated mate.
Don't worry. I have thought through this. Thank you for keeping it a secret from me, Bonnie. It would be impossible to get Edward break our bond if you hadn't helped me secretly. She smiled.
Your mother saved my life years ago. I'm indebted to her daughter.
By the next morning, the weeks of bed rest Edward expected of me weren't going to happen. I had a deadline, and it didn't involve waiting for a marking ceremony that was never going to take place.
You look like a ghost, Em.
My best friend, Sarah, whispered as she tucked a stray hair behind my ear. We were sitting at the Howl, a small cafe on the edge of the territory, far enough away to avoid the main barracks, or so I thought. I feel like one, I admitted, swirling the cooling tea in my mug. But ghosts are hard to catch, aren't they? That's the plan. Sarah squeezed my hand.
I still can't believe he left you mid-spell because Darcy had a crisis. I heard from the scouts that she just had a nightmare. A nightmare, Emma, to Edward.
Darcy's bad dreams are more important than my reality. But it's fine. Let him have his shadows. I'm finding the sun.
That's my girl. Now, drink up. We're going to browse that vintage shop you like. No pack talk, no alpha talk, just...
Sarah's voice cut off abruptly. Her gaze shifted to the door, her posture stiffening into a defensive crouch. I didn't have to turn around to know who it was. The air in the room suddenly felt thick, charged with the scent of pine and rain, and the clanging sweet smell of Darcy's expensive perfume. Edward walked in, his arm draped protectively around Darcy's shoulders. He looked triumphant, relaxed, surrounded by a handful of his high-ranking wolves. He didn't notice me at first, too busy laughing at something one of his friends said.
Oh, look.
Sneered Jax, one of Edward's closest fingers, pointing a finger towards our table.
The Omega is actually out of bed. I thought the suppression spell usually keeps you horizont for a month, Emma. You finally learn how to toughen up?
The group stopped. Edward's laughter died instantly as his eyes met mine. He looked startled, almost offended, to see me upright and dressed.
Emma?
Edward stepped forward, his brow furrowing.
What are you doing here? You should be resting. Bonnie said your levels were dangerously low.
Darcy pouted, tightening her grip on Edward's waist.
Maybe she just wanted attention, Eddie. You know how sensitive Omegas can be when they feel overlooked.
His friends chuckled.
Careful, Darcy.
Another called out.
If you breathe too hard on her, she might faint again and keep the alpha from his real duties.
Sarah slammed her hands on the table, her chair screeching back as she stood up.
You arrogant, bottom-feeding...
Sarah. I reached out, my voice calm and terrifyingly level. I caught her wrist, pulling her back.
Don't. Emma, they're mocking you. He's standing right there letting them.
Sarah hissed, her eyes glowing a faint amber. I stood up slowly. I didn't look at Jax. I didn't look at those mocking wolves. I looked directly at Edward. He looked uncomfortable, his hand twitching as if he wanted to reach for me. But the weight of Darcy's presence held him in place. It's okay, I said to Sarah, though I kept my eyes on the man who was supposed to be my mate. They're right. I've spent far too much time being sensitive. It's amazing how much clarity you get when you realize you're fighting for a seat at a table that doesn't even have a chair for you. Edward started, taking a step toward me.
Emma, wait. About last night.
I didn't give him the satisfaction of an argument. I didn't scream about the pain or the broken promises. I simply picked up my coat and slung it over my shoulder.
Enjoy your coffee, Edward, I said, offering a small, polite smile that didn't reach my eyes.
And Darcy, I hope the nightmares stay away. It would be a shame to interrupt the Alpha's busy schedule again. I turned on my heel and walked out the door, my head held high. I didn't look back to see the stunned silence that had fallen over them, or the way Edward's face had gone pale as he realized, perhaps for the first time, that the bond he kept suppressing was no longer holding me back.
It was letting me go.
After Edward suppressed our bond, he would not contact me for a week and spend this time with Darcy. I thought this time would be the same. But surprisingly, he texted me that night.
Don't take Jack's words to heart, Emma. He talks rubbish.
I read the text and tossed my phone aside, not in a mood to entertain him. But my phone rang. It was Edward.
Emma, are you mad at me?
He asked as soon as I picked up the call. His voice sounded ranksy. Why do you care? I asked instead. Gone were the days I used to melt on a few words he would speak to me softly.
Why won't I? You are my mate, my Luna. Of course I care.
If you cared, you would have been by my side and not by Darcy's, Edward. I blurted out. If you cared, you wouldn't let me go through this pain while comforting her for a nightmare.
Emma.
He whispered my name, soft and gentle.
It will be the last time. I promise. I'll make it up to you. How about we go shopping tomorrow? Just you and me. It's your birthday as well.
He proposed, and before I could refuse him, he hung up. I don't know why I did not call him back to cancel our meeting, and instead got ready the next day. Perhaps it was going to be our last day together. I wanted to have one good memory with him before finally leaving. But, as I stood before the villa he had gifted me on the day we first discovered we were fated mates, his car stopped right before me. I walked ahead and opened the passenger seat. But Darcy had already occupied that seat. I looked into Edward's eyes and said, I remember you said just you and me. A moment of hesitation flickered through his eyes before he finally managed to speak.
Darcy happened to buy something as well, so I brought her along.
While I waited for a good moment for Darcy to leave my spot, Edward's voice made my chest crawl.
Emma, do you mind sitting in the back? Darcy gets carsick if she isn't in the front. You understand, right?
I didn't answer. I simply closed the door and climbed into the back seat. As we drove, I watched them through the rearview mirror, Edward's hand occasionally resting on the center console, close enough for Darcy to brush her fingers against his. I was a ghost in my own birthday celebration. The mall was a blur of high-end boutiques and painful realizations. Edward didn't hold my hand. He didn't ask which dress I liked. Instead, he walked behind Darcy. I'm going to try these on, Darcy chirped, clutching a handful of silk slips.
Edward, come tell me which color suits my skin tone.
Edward glanced at me, a brief flash of conflict crossing his face, but Darcy pulled on his arm.
I'll be right back, Emma. Just stay here.
10 minutes passed. Then 15. The sales associates began to give me pitying looks. The future Luna of the pack, standing alone on her birthday, while her mate vanished into the fitting rooms with another woman. I walked toward the back of the store, my heart hammering against my ribs. I told myself I was just going to check on them. But as I approached the heavy velvet curtains of the VIP fitting area, I heard it. The sound of a low, familiar groan. I pushed the curtain slightly.
Damn it, why are you here?
After that, I ignored them both. I didn't scream. I didn't even cry. Something inside me simply snapped.
The last thread of the one good memory I wanted to save had just been incinerated. I walked out of the store, the bright mall lights suddenly feeling like a spotlight on my stupidity. I heard Edward's voice from behind, calling my name desperately.
Emma! Emma!
I ignored it. I pulled out my phone, my fingers steady as I dialed Sarah's number. Sarah, I said as soon as the line picked up. Emma, I thought you were enjoying the day with your alpha. Sarah's voice was weary, defensive. Is there a bar open tonight? I asked, my voice cold and clear. A loud one.
One where nobody cares about Lunas or fated mates. There was a stunned silence on the other end. Emma, what happened? It's my birthday, Sarah, I said, looking back at the store one last time before turning toward the exit. And I want to celebrate the fact that I'm finally done. Pick me up in 20 minutes. The cool night air bit at my skin as I stood on the curb, the neon signs of the mall blurring into streaks of artificial light. Every time I closed my eyes, I saw the reflection. Sarah's beat-up sedan screech to a halt in front of me. She didn't ask questions when I climbed in. She just saw my face and hit the gas. The Upsian Lounge, she said, her voice tight. It's loud, it's dark, and alphas usually find it beneath them. You okay?
I've never been better. I lied. The hollow space in my chest felt like an open wound, but for the first time it didn't hurt. It was just numb. The club was a sensory assault. Bass thrummed through the floorboards. I downed 3 shots of tequila in rapid succession. I wanted to burn the taste of Edward's lies out of my throat. I was leaning against the bar, watching the crowd when my phone vibrated in my pocket.
Emma, where did you go? We were just talking. Darcy felt faint, and I had to catch her. It wasn't what you think.
I let out a harsh, jagged laugh that was swallowed by the music. Talking. He thought I was blind, as well as pathetic. Another. I signaled to the bartender. Emma, stop. Sarah grabbed my wrist. Just then my phone rang. It was Edward. He video called me. I tossed my phone aside, but Sarah picked it up.
What the hell did you do to Emma that she is wasted like this?
She spat, showing the camera towards me. Edward frowned, his eyes reflecting genuine care I was too afraid to believe.
Give the phone to Emma.
He commanded from the other side, his voice laced with alpha dominance.
You are pathetic, Edward.
Sarah snapped back as she threw the phone in my hands.
Emma, it's not what you are thinking.
I'm coming to find you. Wait for me. The Obsidian Lounge it is, right?
We will celebrate your birthday together.
You don't have to. He hung up before I could tell him not to. I did not want to see his face right now. But I stayed there the whole night. It's because I did not want to go back to the home that was filled with the memories of him. Also because part of me did not want to have the last memory of Edward kissing another woman before my eyes. I wanted him to explain. Even if it would be a delusional thought, I did not want to leave with a memory that was going to haunt me forever. I waited there like a fool. But he did not arrive. He ghosted me on my very birthday. His text only arrived the next morning.
Darcy went on heat last night. She needed me to soothe her wolf. Sorry, darling. I'll make it up to you at our marking ceremony. It's on the next full moon. Don't forget the date.
I stared at the text for a long while. A smile full of self-mocking spread on my lips. Just then, my phone buzzed with a notification. It was Darcy. She posted on her social media. She was lying on Edward's chest, their bodies entangled into each other, wrapped by a white blanket. The caption read, "Finally, together." The phone rang. Sarah's name flashed on the screen. I answered. Emma, I saw the post. Are you okay? Sarah asked, her voice filled with urgency. I've never been better. We're over. I had already broken my bond with Edward, and now whatever he does, whoever he sleeps with, has nothing to do with me. I grabbed my phone and left the bar. But I did not go home. Instead, I barged at Sarah's place. Emma, you look like hell. What happened?
I cut the bond. For good.
Sarah gasped. Oh God, you've finally come to your senses. The rest of the days passed in a fraction of time. Edward never contacted me until the day of the full moon. My phone has been ringing since morning, but I ignored it. As I reached the airport, shot a last glance at my phone. 10 missed calls from Edward and countless messages.
Emma, why are you not at home? Why are you not picking up my calls? Is it about Darcy's post? It's a misunderstanding, Emma. I'll explain it to you. Tonight is our mating ceremony, Emma. Don't forget it. I'll be waiting for you at the altar at 7 p.m.
I looked at my watch. It was 7 o'clock. I blocked his number, took the SIM card out of my phone, and dumped it in a trash can before I boarded my flight. Goodbye, Edward. There is nothing left between us to explain.
Edward stood at the head of the ancestral stone altar, the moonlight carving the sharp planes of his face into a mask of regal impatience. He adjusted the cuff of his charcoal suit for the 10th time, his eyes darting to the heavy oak doors of the ceremonial hall. 7:15 p.m.
The murmurs from the gathered elders were growing louder, a rhythmic buzzing that grated against his heightened alpha senses.
She's just being dramatic.
Darcy whispered, leaning close. She was dressed in silk that clung to her like a second skin, her eyes bright with a triumphant glint she didn't bother to hide.
You know how Emmy is. She wants you to beg because of that silly photo.
Silence, Darcy.
Edward snapped, his voice a low growl that made her flinch. He pulled his phone from his pocket. Still nothing. No, I'm on my way. No, I hate you. Just the deafening silence of a void. He pulled up their chat history, his thumb hovering over her name. I'll be waiting for you at the altar at 7 o'clock p.m. The message sat there, mocked by the double line of scene. At 8 p.m., the moon reached its zenith, the silver light flooding through the skylight, intended to bless a union that wasn't happening.
Edward.
His father, the great Alpha, stepped forward, his voice heavy with disappointment.
The window is closing. If your mate is not here, we must dismiss the guests. This is an embarrassment to our pack.
She's coming!
Edward roared, the sound echoing off the vaulted ceilings.
His wolf, usually a disciplined shadow within his mind, was pacing frantically, clawing at his ribs. Where is she? Where is the bond? Why could he not feel her anymore? What's wrong?
Emma, where are you?
He turned on his heel, ignoring the gasps of the pack, and stormed toward the exit. He didn't take the limousine. He shifted mid-stride, his clothes tearing, as his massive midnight black wolf tore across the manicured lawns toward Emma's small apartment on the edge of the territory. Since he hadn't marked her, she had never shifted to Alpha House. He shifted back on her porch, shivering not from the cold, but from an icy dread settling in his gut. He didn't knock. He kicked the door off its hinges.
Emma!
The apartment was silent. It didn't just look empty. It looked dead.
No.
He ran to the bedroom. The closet doors were flung wide. Her favorite sweaters? Gone. He moved to the bedside table, desperate for any scent, any trace of her. He found her the velvet box, containing the night shift heirloom ring he had given her months ago. He picked up the ring. It was cold.
What have I done?
Then, as if someone ripped his heart apart, he felt a searing pain for a fraction of a second, and his wolf screamed. She has broken the bond.
Emma!
He shouted in despair.
She wouldn't.
He whispered, his voice cracking.
She's an Omega. She has no one. She needs the protection of the pack. She needs me.
He caught a glimpse of himself in the full-length mirror, the same mirror where Emma must have stood, alone, deciding to leave him. He looked like a king who had realized his crown was made of ash. Edward grabbed his clothes and dialed his head of security with trembling hands.
Find her.
He commanded, his voice a jagged edge of desperation.
Check the train and flight records, the border patrols, use the scent hounds. If she's on this continent, I want her back by sunrise.
Alpha.
The voice on the other end hesitated.
We've already checked the local grid. Luna's car was spotted at the airport 2 hours ago.
Edward felt the world tilt. The airport.
Which flight? Where did she go?
She didn't book under her name. And Alpha, there's something else.
Speak.
The trackers usually placed on her car and phone. They're all dead. She didn't just leave, sir. She erased herself.
Edward sank onto the edge of the bed, clutching the ring so hard the metal bit into his palm. For the first time in his life, the alpha dominance that had always served him felt useless. He had the power to command armies, but he couldn't command a girl who no longer cared to listen. The moonlight through the window felt like a spotlight on his failure. He stared at the empty room, the silence finally answering the question he had been too arrogant to ask. She wasn't hiding. She wasn't playing a game. She was gone. Edward didn't sleep that night. He stood in his study, the heirloom ring still clutched tightly into his palm. Maps of the continent were sprawled across his mahogany desk, marked with the frantic red ink of failed leads.
She can't just vanish.
He sneered, his voice a sandpaper rasp.
And Omega doesn't have the resources to bypass a high-level pack encryption. Someone helped her.
The door creaked open, and a familiar scent filled his nostrils, making his pupils relaxed momentarily as he turned to look at the intruder excitedly.
Emma.
He whispered. However, his eyes turned dark the moment his gaze landed at the intruder. It was Darcy. She had changed out of her ceremonial silk into a sheer, flavellar nightgown
that he had gifted to Emma the last month. It was her favorite, and still had her scent left in them. Darcy carried a crystal decanter of amber liquid and 2 glasses, her steps practiced and feline as she crossed the rug.
Edward, darling.
She cooed,
her voice dripping with a synthetic sweetness that made his stomach churn.
You've been staring at those maps for 6 hours. The sun is coming up. If she wanted to be found, she'd be here. Don't worry about her. In a few days, she will be crawling back to you.
In the meantime, let's spend a few more days together.
Edward didn't look up at her. His gaze remained fixed on the nightgown she had worn. Meanwhile, she continued. The pack is talking. She set the tray down on the desk, sliding a glass over the map of the airport.
They see an alpha who has been abandoned. It makes the nightshade look weak. Vulnerable.
She moved behind him, her cool fingers reaching up to massage his rigid shoulders.
The elders are already suggesting that the moon goddess made a mistake. That perhaps your true match was standing right next to you all along.
Edward's wolf let out a warning snarl, a vibration that shook his chest.
The bond is broken, Edward.
Darcy whispered, leaning down so her breath brushed his ear.
I can feel your pain, and I can take it away. Mark me tonight.
By morning, the pack will have a new Luna, and Emma will be nothing more than a bad dream.
She reached for his hand, the one holding the ring, and tried to pry his fingers open.
Give me the ring, Edward. Let's put it where it belongs.
In a blur of motion too fast for the human eye to follow, Edward pivoted. His hand, the decanter shattered, soaking the maps in expensive bourbon. The glass shards, Darcy gasped, her eyes bulging as she clawed at his forearm, which was as unyielding as iron.
How dare you stand before me, wearing my Luna's clothes? You can replace her?
Stop lying to yourself, Edward. You don't love her. You only use her for the power you get with the fated bond between you two. You love me. Only me.
Shut up!
He yelled.
If it weren't for using dirty tricks to keep me closer, I would never have let her suffer. I know it was you who sent her those photos. I know it was your voice in her ear, telling her she wasn't enough. You lied to me of suffocating in the trial room and needing oxygen. It's always been you.
Did I force you to suppress the bond with Emma, leaving her in agony for weeks?
Darcy's remark sent chills down Edward's spine, whereas she leaned closer and her hands moved seductively on his chest.
Admit it, Edward. You have always loved me.
Deep in your heart, you knew I was lying, making excuses to be with you, yet you let Emma suffer to comfort me. If it's not love, what else is it? Whose alpha leaves Luna in agony to be with another woman, if not out of love with his Luna? She then pushed her hair off her shoulder. While getting closer to his lips, she added,
Mark me, Edward. Emma is gone. The bond is severed. Now we can finally be together.
And slammed her against the wall. His eyes glowed a predatory melted gold as he leaned closer, whispering into her ears.
Emma is my soul. Even with the bond severed, she is the only Luna this pack will ever have. You are a stain.
Threw her toward the door. She crashed into the hallway, landing in a heap of torn lace and bruised pride. The elders, who had been hovering in the corridor, gasped and recoiled.
Beta!
Edward roared. The pack's second in command appeared instantly, bowing his head.
Send her the Blackwood pack. And tell the Alpha I have sent him a gift to end our long-standing rivalry.
Edward commanded, his gaze cold and final.
He can trade her for land or uses her in a red light district. She is pretty skillful. And if she ever sets foot within 10 miles of our pack again, she will be executed on sight.
Edward, no!
Darcy wailed, reaching out a trembling hand.
You can't! The Alpha of Blackwood Pack hates my bloodline to the core. He is a monster.
Be grateful I'm letting you keep your life.
Edward said, his voice dropping to a deadly whisper.
Because if I find out you had one more hand in Emma's disappearance than I already suspect, I will hunt you down myself.
He slammed the heavy oak doors, the sound echoing like a guillotine. The altitude change always made my ears pop, but this time it felt like a physical shedding of my past. As the plane touched down in the hidden valley of Oakhaven, the heavy, suffocating mantle of Edward's Omega finally fell away. I wasn't just an ignored mate anymore. I was coming home. The iron gates of the Silverthorne estate cracked open as my taxi pulled up. This wasn't the suburban townhouse Edward had tucked me away in. This was a fortress. As I stepped out, the scent of cedar and ozone hit me, the signature scent of the Aura Omegas. Standard Wolves books say Omegas are the weakest link. They don't mention the Aura lineage, a group so powerful their influence can stabilize entire packs, or bring alphas to their knees with a single command. They were supreme because they didn't bow down to alphas, or mix their blood by wedding their own to others. I was the one who broke the chain and betrayed the whole group, because I blindly thought Edward was different from others.
How stupid.
You're late for dinner, Em.
The voice was identical to the one that followed it. Standing on the porch were Caleb and Cassian, my twin brothers.
They looked like mirrors of each other, tall, lean, and radiating a quiet, terrifying calm that would make a prime alpha sweat.
I'm home.
I whispered, my voice cracking. In an instant, I was enveloped. They didn't care about the designer dress I was wearing, the one Edward had picked out for a ceremony that never happened. They just smelled the heartbreak on me and tightened their hold. We moved into the study, the walls lined with ancient texts on Omega lore. I sat on the leather sofa, trembling. I broke the law, I said, staring at my hands. I suppressed my scent. I hid my lineage, and I chose an alpha who didn't even see me. I thought if I played the part of an ordinary submissive Omega, Edward would love me for me, not for my power. Cassian's jaw tightened.
And instead he treated you like a footnote in his own story.
He doesn't know, I said with a bitter laugh. He thinks I'm a runaway stray. He thinks I'm currently crying in some motel because he chose Darcy's feet over our ceremony. He has no idea that the girl he ghosted is one of the 3 pillars of the Aura Council. The guilt gnawed at me to be with Edward. I had abandoned my duties to my brothers and our people for 2 years. I had weakened our circle for a man who used his alpha dominance to command me to wait at an altar he never intended to show up to. I broke the law when I should have set examples for our people by defying the fated bond just to maintain our lineage. I let the love cloud my judgment.
I'm sorry,
I choked out.
I left you both. I failed the group.
Caleb knelt in front of me, taking my hands.
Emma, look at us. The law exists to protect us from alphas who would cage us. You didn't break the law out of malice. You did it for love. The fact that he was unworthy is his failure, not yours. We felt your bond snap 2 weeks ago.
Cassian added, leaning against the mahogany desk.
We were ready to burn his territory to the ground. The only reason his pack still stands is because we sensed you wanted to walk away on your own terms.
I'm done being ordinary, I said, my voice finally finding its steel. Caleb grinned, a sharp predatory look that proved Omegas were never meant to be prey.
Good, because the council has been a mess without you, and I'm tired of doing your paperwork.
I felt the first real smile in years touch my face. The hollow space in my chest was filling, not with the phantom warmth of a mate, but with the raw surging power of my own bloodline. Edward wanted an Omega who would wait. I was the Omega who reigned. For 3 weeks, my brothers had treated me like a returning queen, though their idea of recovering involved a wardrobe overhaul and a sudden suspicious interest in my Friday night plans.
It's just a dinner, Emma.
Caleb said, adjusting his cufflinks. He looked far too smug for a man who claimed to be helping.
The council needs to see that you're back. What better way than a formal meeting with the Supreme?
The Supreme doesn't do dinners, Caleb. I countered, smoothing the silk of my midnight blue gown. It wasn't a dress someone would choose for an official meeting. It was backless, sharp-edged, and shimmered like moonlight on oil.
He does declarations and decrees.
Well,
But Cassian chimed in from the doorway.
he requested this specifically.
I rolled my eyes, thinking it was a political play. The Aura Council was led by a man shrouded in more legend than fact, Lucian Vane, a wolf whose power was said to be so dense it could still the hearts of an entire battalion. When I arrived at the Obsidian Hearth, the most exclusive restaurant in Oakhaven, I expected a boardroom atmosphere. Instead, I was led to a private rooftop terrace, draped in wisteria and silence. A man stood at the railing. He didn't turn immediately, but the air around him hummed. It wasn't the aggressive look-at-me pressure of an alpha. It was the gravitational pull of a star.
Emma.
He said. His voice was like velvet over gravel. When he turned, I froze. Lucian Vane didn't look like a politician. He was devastatingly handsome, with silver-flecked eyes that seemed to read my entire history in a heartbeat.
Hi, Warren Vane.
I breathed, inclined to bow. He was across the floor before I could, his hand gently catching my elbow.
None of that. Not with me.
He looked at me with an intensity
that made my previous bond with Edward felt like a flickering candle next to a wildfire.
I've waited 2 years for you to realize that a puddle cannot hold the ocean, Emma.
I don't understand, I stammered. Lucian stepped closer, his scent, saddlewood and ancient rain enveloping me.
You thought you were hiding your power from the world, but I felt you leave. I felt every day you spent dimming your light for a man who was beneath your notice.
He reached out, his thumb grazing my jawline.
I didn't let your brothers bring you back for a council meeting. I brought you here because I have loved you since the moment your aura first bloomed. I waited because I knew you had to see the truth of alphas for yourself. But you are done with shadows, Emma. You are mine, by choice and by blood.
My heart hummered against my ribs. It wasn't fear. It was a recognition so deep it made my soul ache. You love me?
I adore you.
He whispered, his eyes burning.
And I will spend eternity making you forget you ever had to bow.
The roar shattered the peace of the terrace. The heavy glass doors swung open, and there stood Edward. He looked disheveled, his eyes bloodshot, his alpha sense spiked with a desperate, toxic aggression.
I knew you'd run to some backwater town.
Edward sneered, ignoring the man standing inches from me. He marched forward, his hand outstretched to grab my wrist.
Enough of this tantrum. You're my mate. I've had to deal with the council's questions for 3 days because you vanished. You're coming home. Now.
He tried to use it, the alpha command, that low, vibrating frequency designed to make an omega's knees buckle and their mind go blank. I felt the ripple of his command hit me. In the past, it would have crushed me. But today, standing next to Lucian, backed by the strength of the Silverthorn lineage, it felt like a mild breeze. I didn't even flinch. I stepped forward, moving out from behind Lucian, and looked Edward dead in the eye. You have no power here, Edward, I said, my voice projecting with a resonance that made the wine glasses on the tables crack. You spent 2 years looking at me and seeing nothing. Now you're looking at me and seeing a possession you lost.
Don't test me, Emma!
Edward growled, his claws beginning to unsheathe.
You're an omega.
You belong at my side by the law of the pack.
I am an aura omega, I corrected, my voice dropping to a dangerous melodic whisper. I let my scent exploded, no longer suppressed, no longer hidden. It hit Edward like a physical blow, a golden wave of pure, unadulterated power that forced him back 2 steps. I am the law. I raised a hand, and with a flick of my fingers, the air around Edward thickened, pinning him against the terrace wall. He gasped, his eyes widening as he realized he couldn't move, couldn't even breathe against the weight of my will. He looked up at me with a mixture of terror and realization. In that moment, he realized he could not command me. His alpha's dominance would not work for me. His eyes quickly softened, laced with guilt and regret.
You are my mate, Emma.
He whispered, his voice low.
I have been looking for you like crazy. You can't do this to me. I love you.
The silence that followed Edward's confession was heavier than the command he had tried to use moments before. He looked small, pinned against the stone, the feigning echo of a man I had once thought was my entire world. You don't love me, Edward, I said, my voice steady, devoid of the jagged pain that had defined my last 2 years. You love the way I made you feel powerful. You love the reflection of yourself you saw in my submission. I lowered my hand, releasing the invisible weight pressing against his chest. Edward slumped to his knees, gasping for air, his eyes searching mine for a flicker of the girl who used to apologize for breathing too loudly. He found nothing but the cold, brilliant clarity of the moon.
That's not true.
He protested, trying to reach out to hold my hands, but I brushed him off. I could see the genuine hurt in his eyes as he stared at his refused hands in a dilemma. Before he finally spoke.
Is it about Darcy? Emma, I swear I would not meet her again. That post, it was fake. I didn't sleep with her. The kiss you saw, I was just helping her breathe. She tricked me, Emma. Believe me.
He blustered. She tricked you. I raised my eyebrows. Tell me what trick she pulled to make you suppress our bond and leave me in agony in our bed. I guess it was her telling I'm feeling uncomfortable, Ed. My words silent him. He knew I wasn't going to buy his words. Seeing nothing could defend his actions. He knelt down before me.
Emma.
He whispered.
We are fated, mate. We have this bond. You can't betray.
What bond are you talking about, Alpha Edward?
A cold yet calm voice sounded from behind. It was Lucian who now came between us. Placing his hands over my waist, he added,
Are you talking about the bond that got so weak by continuous suppression that it broke without you even realizing it? It itself proves that even Goddess can make mistakes. And you and Emma, you two were never fated. Go back to your pack.
He said, turning his back on him.
Tell them the Silverthorn lineage has reclaimed its own. And if you ever set foot in Oakhaste again, you won't be facing an Omega. You'll be facing the Council.
Lucian didn't need to move his hands on him. His mere presence acted as a wall Edward couldn't scale. With a final broken look, Edward sank into his knees and burst into tears.
Emma, please. I'm begging you. Don't leave me like this.
Don't be ridiculous, Edward. We ended a long time ago.
Her words sliced through him like ice, but he dared not step up against Lucien. The power Lucien held made him realize he was no match for him. For the first time in my life, I heard an alpha sobbing over his Oga, but I felt nothing. To me, Edward didn't matter anymore. I didn't feel anything for him, neither love nor hate. Seeing him crying and regretting, I felt watching a stranger crying over his bad decisions. As we walked past Edward and stopped by where my Lucien's car was standing, I turned back to Lucien, my chest heaving. The golden glow in my eyes slowly faded away.
He was smiling, a proud, predatory, beautiful smile. There was no driver. He unlocked the door himself and turned to me.
Where were we?
He asked, opening the car's door for me. I believe, I said while sitting inside and feeling the surge of my own sovereignty. You were telling me how much you adore me.